Well, we've had a few questions in on social media. Some are for Daniel Dubois and some are for Hall of Fame promoter Frank Warren. Let's go from the top. Michael Grice, question for Daniel. When you aren't in training, what are your favourite food treats?
Good old, what my dad cooks, rice and peas, macaroni, curry goat, just home foods, man, home comforts, what my dad cooks.
I've got to ask the same question to Frank. Frank, when you're not in training, what do you eat?
When I'm not in training, or when I'm in training? When I'm not in training, normally a nice merceau or a poulet foussé.
Very nice indeed. I don't know what either of them are. Question here from Lorraine. I followed you since the age of 19. As a young London lad, I knew straight away you had the power and potential to go all the way. How do you plan to get to the top without forgetting your roots? Bit of a deep question there.
Without forgetting my roots.
His dad won't let him forget his roots.
Exactly. My dad won't. I'm with my family all the time, so I'm still rooted, I'm still grounded, so there's no chance of that happening.
Question from Dan Frost on Twitter. Now, you've already won the British and, of course, going for the Commonwealth on Friday. Looks like you're going the traditional route. How far off do you feel, personally, from challenging for the European title?
Not far off. Sooner than, next couple of fights or even after this one. So it's really, really, not that much of a distance from me and the top level guys.
I guess a good person to ask would be Frank. How far off is he from European title level?
Well, he's got to get through this one first on Friday, and we don't know potential banana skins. He comes through that okay, then as he says, he's not far off. If they nominate it, if the EBU nominates him to fight for the European title, do it in a heartbeat.
This isn't a question, this is more of a statement from Yobo on Twitter, who just says, Daniel, can you kindly stop beating up the Ghanaians?
Listen, it's all business, not personal, it's all business. When I'm in the ring, then it's got to, seek and destroy, whoever is put in front of me.
Nigel James, do you think 2020 is still too early for you to be fighting the big boys like Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder? Now that's next year, Daniel.
No, right now it's just about progressing, winning, climbing up the ranks, beating whoever's put in front of me. So there's no rush until from where I'm fighting these guys. So I'm 22 right now, and I take my time.
This is a good one from Southwest Boxing News. If you could pick any heavyweight in history to have as a sparring partner, who would it be and why?
I'd like Larry Holmes for his his movement and his terrific jab, and maybe I'll leave and Muhammad Ali.
Pay to watch that. Frank, what do you think of that?
I think they're two excellent choices. I like the choice of Larry Holmes. He had the best jab in boxing, and I always say if you can't jab, you can't fight. And he's learning that. He showed what a superb jab he had in his last fight.
This next one's a question for you, Frank. Would you consider a pay-per-view heavyweight night with Matchroom, Chisora, Price, Hughie Fury, Gorman, Joyce, Dubois?
What, all fighting each other? Yeah, no problem. Bring them on. Yeah, we'd love that. No problem at all there.
Get the feeling it's an open door at your end, isn't it?
Our door's always open. We're here for delivering for the British fans. That's what we're all about. We're not thin on the ground in Britain. We're delivering.
This is a question from the Ghost of a Forgotten Weedle. That's the username on Twitter. It's for Daniel. What are you scared of the most when you step into that ring?
Nothing. Nothing intimidates me. Nothing faces me.
I thought you would say that. Would you fight Joe Joyce next if Frank can get the European title on the line?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not back off from any challenge. It'll be a challenge, and I'll welcome it with open arms.
This is an interesting one. This is from Andrew Lane on Twitter. Have you ever sparred with Caroline or Prince? And who is the best spar that you've ever had? So there's two there.
No, we used to have a little mess arounds when I was lighter, but I've never sparred with either of them. But two terrific fighters in their own right. Who's
the best Dubois?
Caroline.
Is she still undefeated?
Yeah, she's undefeated, 40-0, and I don't see no one ever getting in her way. She's just so determined and persistent and consistent for a fighter.
This is one from Will Balsden. Will you take a more considered approach in this fight than the Larty fight? Now, I know Frank was watching that one from behind his hands. It was quite a fight. Were you going to be more considered?
Oh, I'm going to go in there and just put on a boxing display and get the win and look good doing it.
Question for Frank. This is from Tom Blake on Twitter. Would you ever put Daniel Dubois in with Tyson Fury?
Well, eventually it will have to happen, won't it? You know, if Tyson's next fight is against Wilder, and they may have a rematch after that. Then Daniel's going to be in a position where I think he's to be mandatory challenger for one of those, and also the winner of Ruiz and Joshua. They're all tied up at the moment, but he'll be there. And if Tyson and him happens, it's going to be probably one of the biggest fights to take place in this country. We kept saying the biggest fight would be Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua. You know, this guy's now heading in that direction. This time next year, any of those fights are going to be a huge fight against Daniel. So, of course, you know, Tyson's the number one heavyweight out there, bar none. And he's still obviously learning, and he's still got a way to go. But having said that, 18 months' time, be a huge fight.
Huge fight. My mouth is watering. Here's another one for Frank. So, Frank, you had Sonny Edwards headlining last week and Daniel Dubois headlining this week. Should kids be headlining shows in the UK?
Well, we sold out last week, and we're nearly sold out on Saturday. So the fans loved it, and we're delivering. When you say kids, I mean we're delivering good fights. They're not in, it's not like they're in rubbish fights. They're in quite competitive fights, and they may be young. But I used to top bills with Nassim Hamid when he was very, very young. I used to top bills with Ricky Hatton when he was very, very young. Nobody complained about that.
They used to say you can't win nothing with kids. Well, these kids are winning a lot at the moment.
Well, they are, but it's the next generation coming through. They're all quality guys, and we've got a lot more as well. A lot more other kids coming through. And as I say, we're not thin on the ground in that department. We're big believers in British boxing and delivering for our subscribers on BT. That's what we're all about.
One for Daniel here. This is from Rob David on Instagram. Your professional ambition looks to be to become a heavyweight champion, but what are your personal, non-professional ambitions outside of the ring?
Live life to the fullest, and experience everything that's on offer, and provide be a success for my family and my people back at home. So that's what it's all about for me.
Good answer. What's your answer to this? This is from Jack Rorbs on Instagram. Big fan of yours, Daniel. When you're not in camp, Chinese or Indian?
Chinese.
Yeah. I think you're talking about food, not women.
Yeah. Check it out for later.
This is a question from Josh Allen on Instagram. When did you realise you had such potential in boxing?
Well, I think my dad realised it first, and I just carried along with the plan and kept to it, stuck with it.
This is from Lewis Gibbons. Now you can both answer this one. What's your favourite knockout of yours and of Daniel Dubois? Daniel first.
My favourite knockout, probably my last fight. That was a really nice one, and my second fight.
Well, Daniel's knockouts. Yeah. Well, Nathan was by far the best opponent that I believe that Daniel's faced. So you've got to say that was his best stoppage. Nathan was an undefeated fighter and is a quality fighter, and he done exceptionally well there.
So you've gone for Gorman and also Blaise Mandu, wasn't it, in the second fight? Yeah. And you had him up against the ropes and that. Yeah, that was. This is a question from Nigel Hines. This is for Daniel. Do you have any regrets about not being part of the GB Olympic setup? I'd have you pegged for gold, he says.
Yeah, no, it was obviously the right time to leave and spread my wings and, venture into the pro game and understand and learn that on the job as a professional. I think there's a lot of politics in amateur boxing, so being held back and not being able to reach my full potential and my ability, not something that I want to waste time doing.
Well, I'm certainly glad you turned pro. Frank, I think you're glad as well.
Well, we persuaded him. And and it's been great grounding for him. Look, you don't, as much as it's a great honour to represent your country, and obviously to win a medal at the Olympic Games. I'm sure that any boxer would love to do that. But as he says, there's a lot of politics involved. There's also a lot of guys who didn't go to Olympic Games who've done well for themselves. Naz, Kawasaki. You look at Ricky, Frank Bruno. Lots of fighters didn't make it there. Didn't make it there. He may have been able to go down. I'm quite sure he would have been the number one. But look where he is now.
Look where he is now, indeed. Final question. Bren Duffy on Instagram. It's for you, Daniel. Who has been your hardest spar?
Who's been my hardest spar? I've had so many I can't pinpoint one. I've been through a lot of wars and sparring and in the gym behind closed doors. It's been really tough, but I've enjoyed it, and to be honest, every one of my spars have been learning experiences, so I can't put in one name on one.
Okay, Daniel, Frank, good luck on Friday. Thanks for speaking to us.